Hi, welcome to Quietly Thinking Out Loud. Today's episode is about football. Now, before anyone becomes too excited, I should make a small disclaimer. If you ask me to explain a formation, a false nine, a wing back, or why a particular player should have moved 5 meters to the left, I'm probably not qualified to answer. There are many people far more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to tactics and technical aspects of the game. Perhaps because of my profession, I look at football slightly differently. But before we get there, let me explain why I enjoy football in the first place. What attracts me is not only the game, it is the culture around it, the traditions, the history, the passion, the humor, the sense of belonging. I enjoy watching supporters who have followed the same club for decades, parents introducing their children to the club they grew up supporting, families attending matches together, friends gathering to watch games and discussing them long afterward. And sometimes I listen to football callers on radio programs. People from different backgrounds, professions, and ages sharing their opinions, their frustrations, and occasionally their optimism. And what interests me is not always what they are talking about, it is what football means to them. Because when we look closely, football is often about much more than football. It is about identity, community, belonging, shared experiences. People may never meet, yet for 90 minutes they find themselves hoping for the same outcome, celebrating the same goal, worrying about the same mistake, or laughing at the same joke. There is something very human about that. And perhaps because of my profession, I also find myself watching people, how they work together, how they support one another, how they respond when things are not going well, who steps forward when the team needs them, who helps others recover after making a mistake. Football is often described as a team sport, and it is. Players need teammates who understand them, who can work together, and who can be relied upon during the difficult moments. Individual skill matters too. Watching this World Cup has reminded me of something. We often celebrate individual brilliance, a wonderful goal, a crucial save, a player who changes the game. Those moments deserve to be celebrated. But I also find myself wondering about the system behind them. As someone who spent many years working with organizations, I have learned that when one person repeatedly has to rescue the team, it is worth asking another question. What allowed the situation to arise in the first place? Great organizations do not rely solely on extraordinary individuals. They build environments where many people can perform well together. Individual talent may win a match. A strong system gives you a better chance of winning consistently. Perhaps the balance between personal excellence and teamwork is one reason football remains fascinating. Another thing I have noticed during this tournament is how differently people evaluate the same match. Some talk about grit, others talk about mentality, others focus on one outstanding player. Coaches often say something different. They may praise the courage, commitment, and resilience of the team, while also believing the technical performance fell below the required standard. I find that distinction interesting. Appreciation and accountability are not opposites. Sometimes they belong in the same conversation. Many players today live in a world where every performance is immediately discussed online. Supporters celebrate them one week and then criticize them the next. And most of us are fortunate that our mistakes are not replayed repeatedly or debated by thousands of strangers. Footballers rarely have that luxury. Yes, they are paid very well, but they are also human beings. As my experience working with people and performance, I often wonder how they recover after disappointment, how they rebuild confidence, how they continue moving forward when criticisms arrive from every direction. Like like many supporters, I sometimes find myself wondering why a team played the way it did. Then I remind myself that I don't have enough information to provide useful solution. So I usually keep my tactical opinions to myself instead of offering advice on social media. And what interests me more is understanding what happened, what pressures were people carrying, what conditions produced the result we are seeing. Perhaps that is the coach and HR person in me. And another thing I enjoy about football is that I don't only see the players. I find myself looking at the club as an organization. The 90 minutes we watch are only the visible part, and behind those 90 minutes are countless hours of preparation, coaches preparing training sessions, medical teams helping players recover, fitness staff monitoring performance, analysts studying opponents, scouts identifying future talent, operation teams ensuring that everything runs smoothly, and academy staff helping young players develop, and many others whose names supporters may never know. The match is the outcome, the organization is the process. Perhaps that is why football reminds me of many workplaces. Success rarely belongs only to the person, to the people in the spotlight. There is usually an entire ecosystem that working quietly behind the scenes. Just like many things in life, I remember watching a Champions League final not long after my mother passed away. At the time, grief was still very present, yet during that match, there were moments of joy. For a long time, I thought joy and grief belong in separate rooms, but that evening taught me otherwise. Sometimes they sit together. Football was not the important part of the memory. the lesson was. Perhaps that is why people ask me about football. I often end up talking about people instead. It's about leadership, resilience, community, belonging, teamwork, systems, and the many individuals working quietly behind the scenes to make something possible. Perhaps that is what interests me most. Football reminds us that talent matters, effort matters, leadership matters, systems matter. And perhaps the challenge in football, in organization and in life, is learning how to hold all of them together. Because in the end, football is never only about football. It is about people. Well, thank you for spending your time with me today. And until next time, take care.